So there's no formal sit down and like, let's talk about your work here, because it's always constant feedback. I'm very blunt, maybe sometimes to a fault. So I also say that in the beginning, I'm not going to tell you one nice thing and then one bad thing. Like if it's bad and you have to fix it. And I do it very openly in front of everybody. And it's like tough love. So it's not, shouldn't be taken offensively, but it's a matter of real time. So here's, your sentences are too long. As a lawyer, you can't write like the English major. We have to be very short and to the point. Fix it, come back. So I think that constant feedback is better than maybe one sit down in the middle of the summer. It's just all the time.
We have a very formal, I would call it, feedback process with our interns. We sit down midway through their 10-week session with us, and then again at the end. It's really important for them to understand not just the caliber of their work, but also how do you operate in a corporate environment. They have not had that opportunity before, and we think that is as important for them to learn as the actual content of what we're doing. So they are getting feedback from their teams day to day, but then all the people that run the field study program for us, and there's anywhere between 4 to 6 of those individuals, they will sit down with them and in certain criteria, give them very directed feedback, tell them what they're doing a good job on, giving them some suggestions around things that they could improve.
We try to provide feedback at the end of every project. It's an ongoing type of feedback. It's very fluid. I think we're moving to a process now in which we've got more of a formalized kind of evaluation system by which at the halfway point of the internship, we want to make sure we're pulling that intern into our offices or his or her mentor's office. We're now assigning a mentor for every intern at the beginning of the internship and saying, hey, here's how you've been doing in the first half of your internship, provide for some constructive feedback and say, hey, here's what I want to see more of or less of over the course of your second half of your internship. And then at the end of your internship, have that kind of close out exit interview with that same mentor.
Feedback for interns is actually a critical component to learning. And so one of the aspects of providing that continuous feedback loop is actually the fact that they sit next to their peers and of the current employees in the organization and integrate in real projects. We have always believed, and I know this is true, that great feedback can come from any place in the organization, but in both directions. And so we encourage them to participate in all the discussions that we have, not just to sit and listen. And oftentimes you'll find that a new and innovative idea can come from one of the bright young minds in the room if you just give them the space to explore that. On the same token, we provide real-time feedback to them if they decide to ask for that or participate on that stage. We will share with them what some of our feedback would be in real time and say, well, that would be true if this, or that's a great idea because, and let's explore that a little bit. So by asking them to be an active participant in the organization, we give them the freedom to express their ideas. We also share with them that that is a two-way street, and in real time say, this is how that affects, is great, or we could work on a little bit.
It really kind of starts from the beginning when we do onboarding. We really try to set the tone for how they should expect to interact with their manager, how they should expect to interact with people they're leading projects for, and typically those aren't one and the same. They have a manager they meet with once a week, but then they have project leads they might meet with on an almost daily basis, or maybe just once a week. So in terms of feedback, we try and set the expectations up front. Ask to say, do you understand what this means, what this looks like? Hopefully we have an example of prior work we can share with them, but most of the time they're doing things that are pretty original or new even for us. And then we iterate. We have them show us what they think they want to do before they've spent too much time trying to finalize something, and we give them guidance along the way. So it's pretty continuous feedback, but not like every hour or every single day. It's really to go off and run with a set of instruction that might be fairly specific or fairly ambiguous, and then to iterate and continue to move from there.
Our performance review process within Kinsey is constant feedback loop. So we will do a annual review, but there's no surprises, right? At the annual review, my goal is there's no surprises. So we have a constant feedback loop, and so it's pretty constant. That's why it's about. But the formalized, I would say the formalized approach is we have our one pager, we go through expectations, and then toward the end of the internship, we check in on that one pager and see kind of did we accomplish everything we wanted to, good and bad. The other thing I do try to do is at least do check-ins every couple of weeks, and I think our whole team really does that for all of our interns.